Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me. Welcome kindreds, it's Jessica, the Story Witch, and today I'm going to show you a walkthrough of four different Witchy Diaries: the Earth Pathways Diary, Astro Moon Diary, Wee Moon, and the Witch's Datebook. You probably think I'm totally crazy for buying all these different diaries, but I haven't bought a diary for the last couple of years because I've been bullet journaling. These are all ones that I have bought in the past and enjoyed. So this year I've decided to get all of them because I'm going to be incorporating them into my journaling in general. So none of the stuff in here will be going to waste. If you're only interested in one of these and you know which one it is, I'll put the timestamps down below so that you can just look up the actual diary that you're interested in. These are the 2018 versions, but all these three, certainly the Earth Pathways, the Wee Moon and the Witch's Datebook, have all been very similar format for the last many years. And this one has changed a little bit, but not super significantly. So I'm hoping that unless they have like a radical overhaul of these in the future, this video will still be relevant if you are looking at different years as well. So without further ado, let's get on with looking through the diaries. So I'm going to do the two UK ones first. So here's the Earth Pathways diary. And it's a 10th anniversary celebration, which means they've kind of reused some of the artwork and things from earlier on. And I quite like this. It is A5, it's spiral bound. It's a little bit floppy. I prefer a kind of more rigid diary, and there's also nothing to, you could obviously put an elastic band or something around it, but there's nothing to keep your stuff in if that is a thing for you. So yeah, it's slightly flimsy card, but it does look beautiful. It is full colour. So I'm just going to give you a little flick through so you can kind of see what it's all about. I thought this was nice. These are all the old front covers of the ones that have come before. I've had two of these. I had this one and this one. So that was 2011, 2014. But this one looks gorgeous, isn't it? 2012. I obviously didn't get it for some reason though in 2012. It's kind of, I don't think it's social enterprise, but it's like a community-based project. The people who make this, and this is a nice picture of some of the people who are involved, who've been involved for a long time here. And part of the money I believe that they raise with the diaries goes back into projects as well, which is cool. So it's kind of UK pagan tradition based, this book. And it does have some astrological information in it, which is quite nice as well. It talks about the moon in the different signs and what it means, just short little bits. A little bit about the moon phases and about when planets go retrograde. Numerology in 2018 is a number 2 year. It tells you a little bit about what that means. And then the way it works with the weekly spreads is you have the week on the one side, and then on the opposite page, the adjacent page, it is some art or a poem or well, all those sorts of things. Lots of nice poems and things in there. I tend to use these in, well, I sometimes use them for collaging and things like that, but I also tend to use the poems in some of the circles that I run and stuff, which is quite cool. So I like it from that point of view as well. It's a good resource. When it's a festival, it usually has a little bit about the actual festival in there as well, but not masses. It does just follow this format all the way through. It doesn't deviate from that, I don't believe. Anyway, in the ones I've had before it hasn't. It's just been the same all the way through. Some of the art are photographs, like this one. Sometimes it's actual created artwork. Not the photographs aren't creative, you know what I mean, like paintings and things like that. They've been scanned in. Oh, little flyer there. Oh, that's gorgeous. Harvest Moon by Deborah Hall. So I believe some of these are actually ones from previously. I'm not totally sure. But anyway, yeah, so it just goes on and on and on like that anyway, all the way through the year until you get to the back. So that's the end of the year in December. So weird looking already now, isn't it? And then it's got like a month to view pages as well, which are obviously landscape rather than portrait like the rest of it, so they are kind of sideways, but they're really beautifully illustrated. And I sometimes use these to stick in. I've used them in the past, sticking like a kind of bullet journal type thing as well, rather than drawing out your own spread. They're really nice. And then there's just 2019 year to view over the 2 pages. With it's got the full moons and new moons on there as well, and then just a list of all the contributors, which is quite nice. And I have followed up quite a few people I find in these diaries to find other artwork or poetry and things by them as well, so that's nice. And if you're a creator, then it's quite cool to kind of try and to be involved with this kind of thing. You can submit work as well. And then just some notes pages on the back, and that's it. Tells you a little bit about the website, and then about submitting for the diary. So that's the Earth Pathways. It is beautiful. It is very much UK based. They've got a YouTube channel actually now, so I'll have to look that up as well, and I'll link that down below as well. I'm not sure how active it is, so I'll have to have a little look. I didn't even realise they had one, so I'll be finding out about that in a little bit. It's just something I read in there just now as I was leafing through. One of the things I like about this is the information and the poems, like I said, that are included. It's just kind of uplifting and nice, and the dates and times with the astrological information are UK based. So if you don't want to be bothering with converting and things like that, then that obviously makes things clear for you. They don't include masses of astrological information. They've got the moon phase and sign, and the moon rise, moon set, and also if planets are turning direct or retrograde, that's in there as well. And obviously if there's an eclipse, and new moon and full moon and everything are all included in there too. So it's enough, you know. It's not the best diary probably for an astrologer. You might want a little bit more information. You would want more information than that, but it's got some really nice things in there. So that's the Earth Pathways. I'll just pop that over here, and we'll do the next one. This is a UK one too. So this is, let me move that as well because that's distracting. So this is the Astro Moon Diary 2018. This has changed quite a lot. When I first got this diary a few years ago now, quite a few years ago now, I think it's been running for 9 years. I think I bought it the first year it came out. I was quite excited about it. It didn't look as pretty as this. It was very like very functional looking, but they asked for feedback, and a lot of people gave the feedback the same as I did, that it would be nice if it actually really looked pretty as well, and they've incorporated a lot more of that now into the diary itself. This is weirdly bound. It is spiral, but it's like inserted or glued into can you see that, like into a foldery cardboard case sort of thing. So it's nice you've got a little flap there. If you're anything like me, that's quite handy, because I do tend to stuff quite a lot of things in here. And there isn't a flap at the back, but there is like a year to view thing on the back there, and information about astrocal. So I will do a flick through of that. It did come as well with basically like a blue elastic band, not an elastic band because it was like more like a hair band, but a large one to go around it to keep it shut. So if that's important to you, then you do get one of those as well, but obviously you can just use anything. And I've taken it off and goodness knows what I've done with it. So I might find it, I might not. So we got contents, and you're welcome, and it explains a bit about the diary. Now this one is much more of an astrological based diary. It focuses on that more than anything else. So it talks about transits, it talks about moon cycles, moon phases, and the information in here I find generally is very, very good. One of the things that they used to do and then they didn't do, and now they've gone back to doing, I think by popular demand, is new moon wishes. So that is when there's let me see if I can find one in here. So when you get to the new moon, they have like an open space here, so you can write your new moon wishes, and they've got like things to do, tips about making your new moon wishes and things. And they explains nicely in here as well about working with the moon phases, more in depth than you'll get in some of the other diaries, which is nice too. So if working with moon phases and astrology is important to you, this would be a really good choice. Like I say, they've got a lot more information you'll find in lots of the others. Like here now, it's actually got the chart for the solstice, and they do that for the other main astrological events through the year as well. So you'll see the chart and you'll be able to see the aspects and things that the planets are making to each other. I know lots of people aren't interested in that, and that's fine, you know, but if you are interested in astrology, then it's great for that. I really like it. Yeah, Sun enters Capricorn. Each of the pages, try and bring it up, I don't know if that's going to be in focus, if you can see it very well, but it's actually got all the moon information. So it's got the moon phase pictorially depicted here, and it's also got the moon sign that is in as well next to it. They have little decorations on certain things, like winter solstice. They'll have little sort of little depictions of things here as well. Can you see that? I don't know if it's coming up that clearly on here. Yeah. Oh, maybe is that a bit better? No, for some reason that's just not focusing very well, so I do apologise about that. But what it has got is it tells you about the moon when it's moving into different signs. It tells you when the sun is as well. It also tells you about any aspects that the moon is making as well. So it's got the moon there squaring, you know, so you can see the different aspects and sun conjunction. So it hasn't got every single aspect that's happening on that day, but it's got a whole heap more than you will find in most diaries like this. This is, like I say, it is the best one. If you're into astrology and you're based in the UK, then there's nothing as good as this. It's a little bit smaller format. Let me put the other one so you can kind of see side by side. So it's a bit smaller than the Earth Pathways, which is A5. So some people like that as well, but they prefer a slightly smaller one. The information that's in here is mainly, it's a little bit dry, I guess. If what you're wanting is kind of inspirational quotes and stuff, then this is not where you're going to find it. Although I do find this information good and inspirational. There are some pictures in here now. Like I say, this is some feedback they've taken on board, and they do include a little bit more like that. But it's not, you know, this is really beautiful as well. It's not kind of the main focus. It's more kind of functional. There's the spring equinox chart and a little bit about the spring equinox. So there's masses of information in here. And for each sign, it does give you your year ahead as well. So when you get to your own sun sign, it gives you a bit about that too, which is nice. And it carries on like that all the way through the diary. It's sort of vaguely colour coded for the months as well, so you can find things quickly. Like I said, they do have some beautiful artwork in here now, and you can submit here as well. But the artwork is not so much the focus, it's the information which is the main focus. And then it's got lists of the contributors, it's got retrograde tables, again some more astrological information in the back. And then it also has, similarly to the Earth Pathways, it's got this month to view with the moons on here, which is quite handy, I find, to see. Because like most of the time you know the new and the full moons, but it's good sometimes just to be able to quickly look up the it's got, I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see it. It's not just got the phase, it's also got the astrological, the moon sign information as well, which is handy. So that goes on like that. Then we've got ephemeris then as well. So these are, again, GMT based, it's Greenwich Mean Time based. So it's UK, so you'd have to adjust it for your own time zone if you're not in the UK. But it's still a fantastic diary if you're interested in astrology. It's the best astrology based diary that I have found. So that's the astrocal Astro Moon diary, and I do really recommend it. It's a bit more pricey than the other diaries, but worth it in my opinion. So that's that. And now let's get on to, I've got two of the US ones. So this is Wee Moon 2018. Hopefully that's in the right place. I'm getting a little bit better at these, I hope. Anyway, so the lighting is still really rubbish because it is very dark here in Wales at the moment. It's not that it's the daytime, but it's still very dark. So yeah, this is the Wee Moon, which is it's an American based diary. It's similarly to the Earth Pathways. it donates a certain amount of money from it to good causes as well. So if that's something that's important to you, this is a nice one. This is also quite expensive. I think if you live in the US, it's probably cheaper because you can buy it. With all of these, I'll talk about this probably a little bit at the end, I tend to buy them direct from the people who are making them rather than buying them from Amazon or Book Depository or something like that, just because I've been involved in making a moon diary before, and it's a lot of work, and when you are selling it through the big retailers, you don't get so much of the money coming back in. So I try and support the people who are making these because they are a little bit niche, and a few years ago you wouldn't be able to get your hands on these, you know, going back sort of 20 years it was really tricky to get anything like this, and now you can, and there's choice, which is awesome. So I just try and support them and try and keep things you know, to make sure they carry on being available. So with the wee moon, I do this, if you are not a woman, or if you don't identify as a woman, then you might find some of the stuff in here a little bit, you might not feel it really speaks to you, and you know, obviously that's fine. It's whether you think it's for you or not, then that's perfect. So they talk about Gaia rhythms for women, and they spell all the things weird because it's the like wee moon means women. They don't identify woman as being in relation to man. It's not a man with a womb, it's actually a person who is in tune with the moon. So it's wee moon, and they say this is woman. So that might be off-putting for some people, but to be honest, the stuff in here, the poetry and the quotes and things in here I love, and I tend to use them quite a lot in Red Tent and in women's circles and things like that. So I really like getting this. I'm excited too because I think for Christmas, I hope I am going to be getting, they've made an anthology of some of the art and poetry and writings and things that have been in these over the past, I'm not sure how long it's been going for. This has been going for quite a long time, longer than the UK ones. But yes, it's a collection of all that artwork and stuff. They always have a theme, which I like. So for 2018, it's La Luna, the moon, and gorgeous, gorgeous artwork on the front. And it's cardboard front, spiral bound. It's quite chunky compared to, say, the Earth Pathways. It's a little bit thicker. It feels a little bit firmer too. Oh, can you see that? Yeah, so there's quite a lot of extra stuff in here, not just, well, I'll show you. That's what you're here for after all. So 2018 at a glance there, with the new moon, full moons on there. A little bit about things. It talks about their dedication, which is like each year when they produce the diary, a certain amount of money goes to a particular good cause. So table of contents, which is great because there is a lot of stuff in here. What is wee moon? It's about the natural cycles, how to use the book, which seems a bit bonkers because it's a diary, so it should be quite obvious how you use it, but because there's so much information in here, it is quite handy to have that. There's a lot of astrological info in here again, like in the Astro diary, which is good. And if you are in, I believe it is Pacific Standard Time, the information is in. We'll get to that in a minute anyway. So if you are in that time zone, then this would probably be more useful for you because it's already all in that time zone, which is good. So talks about moon watching. Well, I had to get this one because it is La Luna. I don't buy these every single year, but I have bought them quite a few years, and they are always a treat. So for me, it's quite expensive because I have to buy it from America, which obviously adds to the cost and everything of getting it shipped over, but it's worth it, I think. And this one particularly has, because they have lots of information relating to the theme, so this one's got even more moon information than you will normally find in them. So here we go. Tells you a little bit about the year as well. It's the Earth dog, so that's like a Chinese New Year thing. Sorry, the flicking is probably annoying. Wisdom in a teacup. So, you know, you'll find lots of things you aren't necessarily expecting in here as well. So all of this, and we haven't even got to the diary yet. We do in a moment. So each month they have like a kind of title page, and I really like these because I tend to use these then afterwards for like journaling and stuff as well. So you can take this page and you can make it into something else, which is really nice. Information wise, the astrological information is in here for the moon phases and signs and things as well. Oh, here we go. It says at the bottom, All aspects are in Pacific Standard Time, and it says add 3 hours for EST and add 8 hours for GMT. I've seen a few people getting a bit confused about this because they, I think what confuses people is they think the full moon and the new moon is actually happening at a different time, but it's actually happening at the same time for everybody all over the world. But we obviously, our time zones are different, so we will see it. I'm not explaining this very well. It happens at the same time for everyone. But like for me, okay, so let's give an example. So this is in Pacific Standard Time. So the winter solstice here, it says sun in Capricorn at 8:28 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So the sun moves into Capricorn at 8:28 a.m. Well, if you were in Eastern Standard Time, I believe EST stands for, then you would add 3 hours. So for you, it would be at 11:28 a.m. It is still the same time, but because your time zone is 3 hours ahead, then it seems like that. And then for me, I'd have to add 8 hours to this, which would take you to like sort of almost 4:30 in the afternoon on that day. Now, I know some people really don't like doing all that working out, and it does get a little bit annoying sometimes if it's like over a day, so it ends up being like it wouldn't actually be on this day, it would be on a different day because that time shift has pushed it too far out. So if that would be getting on your nerves, then maybe it's not for you. But if you are in this time zone and you're interested in that astrological information and you are a woman, then this is probably a good choice for you. So not masses of space for writing, so none of these have got that. They're more focused on the other content rather than being able to plan like your whole day in there. So if you have very busy schedules and things, you probably end up having to use like another notebook or something like a bujo style format to do that as well. But the artwork and it's very, very competitive to try and get your work published in these. So they have masses of submissions and they choose absolutely gorgeous things. So that is one of the things I like about it. So in month 2, illumination, and then it talks about year at a glance for Aquarius and so on, and it goes through like that. It has the sort of the Wheel of the Year 8 Sabbath type information in here as well, so it's got all that as well. But it is very much like a moon diary. Lunacy, moon 3, February the 15th to March the 17th. The new moon's in Aquarius that time. So yeah, this is cool, and it just goes through all of, very similarly as it goes through. It has extra stuff on, like I say, on the festivals and things. So there's the Beltane page and this sort of thing. It's got year at the glance for each of the sun signs, similarly to the astrocal, and it goes on and on and on like that. Oh, that's quite cool. Look, palmistry lesson, the mount of the moon. So it's even bringing in elements of palmistry, and they're linking into the theme of the book again. So La Luna. And I'm trying to get to the end so that I can show you what is in the kind of end papers of this book. So we're nearly there. I don't want to look too much at these things because I like to find them as I go along. Like little treasures you uncover as you work through the year. So this talks a little bit about We Moon as an organisation and about how you can contribute. Oh, We Moon Tarot. Now this is something I hadn't heard about. Announcing the We Moon Tarot, now in process of creation. A We Moon Tarot deck drawing from art and writing in We Moon over the years, which has been a subliminal work in progress since 1990, when we first started conceiving of We Moon themes based on tarot archetypes. As author-editor of this new We Moon project, I'm excited about being able to draw from We Moon art and writing spanning the turn of this century as an oracle for our times. Oh wow, that's really cool. So that is something that I'm definitely going to look up, because that is something I would be interested in doing. And these are some of the people who work at We Moon. Ancestors, so these are people who have passed on, who have been involved with the We Moon collective. They talk a lot about ancestors and grandmothers and things in here, so I like that. So if you also like that, you might like it. And then these are all the people who've contributed. And it handily has a page as well, which it doesn't always do. So you can look up from this into the diary as well, which a lot of people just have the contributors and they don't have the pages. So I quite like that. Map of planetary aspects. So this tells you a little bit about the things in different signs here. And it has an asteroid ephemeris, which I don't think any of the other diaries do have. So if that is something that's interesting to you, then you might be interested in that. Obviously the ephemeris is going to be in the same times. Oh, actually though, look, the planetary ephemeris is taking it as noon GMT, which is interesting. I guess it makes it kind of more accessible for people in all different time zones. Although not really, because everyone's got to be in some time zone. And then yeah, it's laid out, but it doesn't have, and like in the astrocal, which has the actual aspects on these sort of pages. Let me put that in for comparison. So here you've got the aspects and the moon signs here, and in this it's just literally got the moon phase. So I like this, but this is also good. You can write on these as well. I have used these sometimes if you're doing some sort of workings, and you can note down almost like a kind of tracking then of workings that you're doing, which is cool. They're like little kind of bubbles for writing in. And then it's the 2018 lunar phases just kind of spread out like that, which is nice. Looks really cool actually, doesn't it? Constellations, signs and symbols. So if you don't know the glyphs that they use for those, that's all in there as well, so you can look it up. And then 2019 just at a glance. Oh, this is it. Look, this is what I'm hopefully getting for Christmas. In the spirit of Wee Moon, celebrating 30 years. There we go, 30 years this has been going for. An anthology of Wee Moon art and writing. So this, hopefully, this gorgeous owl will be winging its way to me very soon, I hope. And this tells you they do other products as well. In fact, I think all of these, maybe the Earth Pathways doesn't, but I know astrocal definitely do calendars and things as well. So it's not just diaries that they make. They do greeting cards also. World time zones, and it tells you a little bit about calculating your time zone, which is pretty handy. So it does have all the other ones in as well. Conventional holidays, how to contribute, and you have to contribute like miles in advance. So for 2020, you need to get it in by August the 15th, 2018. So you need to be very organised with your submitting to that, but it's all good. It takes a lot of work, like I said, to make these things. So that is the Wee Moon. Probably, like I say, best for you if you are in America and if you are a woman who's interested in that kind of astrological information. And pop that to one side and we're on to our last one. I hope this hasn't been too long-winded, guys, and it is actually interesting. And yes, I probably am slightly insane buying all of these, but it's been a couple of years since I bought a diary, so it felt good to do it. I know that I will use all these, so that's fine. So this is the Llewellyn Witches date book, and I can say Llewellyn because I'm Welsh and I know how to pronounce it, and I love hearing other people trying to pronounce it because you hear all sorts of different ways of doing it. Now actually Llewellyn is actually based in America, so it's something that's obviously gone over there, and the name, I'm not even sure of the history and everything of how that has become the kind of, they're big publishers, I'm sure you will have heard of them. They published an awful lot of mainly witchy stuff, quite a lot of Wiccan things, and lots of resources basically, loads and loads of things. They're a massive publishing house, which is a bit different from the other ones that I've shown you. So and in fact this one I don't mind buying from Amazon because I don't feel like that's too problematic with that. So this is also spiral bound, which I quite like actually. I know some people prefer hardbound. It's kind of like a little bit smaller than the Wee Moon because the Wee Moon is quite chunky, but it's not quite as slim as the other two that I showed you. The artwork I like, and well, let's have a look. So starting this section a little bit again because the light changed behind me and then all of a sudden you couldn't actually see what was written on the pages, so sorry about that. Hopefully this will be much better. So yeah, this is Llewellyn's Witches Date Book 2018. They've been making these for a very long time now, and I've bought them. I've had quite a few of these and they are good, and let's have a look what's inside. So we've got table of contents, 2018, 2019, just here at the glance kind of things. table of contents, which is the table of contents. How to use the Witch's date book. It's got the moon quarters, moon in the signs, so it's got that kind of basic kind of astrological information in there. It's got the glyphs of the different planets and signs. And then it starts off with some different articles. So this one is the Daily Magician, which is quite cool. Little bits of things that you can do. Jump cut, sorry, my little boy wanted a bath. But I'm back. So here we go. This one's really nice, sprucing up your ritual space. The information in this one is much more tailored to witchy things, as you would expect from a witch's date book. So it is, if you are more interested in that kind of spell work and magic in general, then this is cool because there's lots of good information in here about that. It's not so heavy on the astrological stuff, so just bear that in mind. This is quite nice about clearing out your altar. Order, chaos, or in between. So it does have information about different sources of different magic and things as well, which is cool. And just, yeah, these articles are nice, and you can either read them at the start or you can just dip in as you're going through the year. Practical things as well, like making and dressing candles and some spells. And then at the start of each month it has the month laid out. I hope that light's not still too bright. Try and adjust it a little bit. It's like trying to get the balance between it being completely dark and so bright that you can't actually see. Oh, you can see that. I think that's okay. So the month, and then like some notes. I don't think I've ever used these pages. I don't find them really that useful. They have got the moon phases on there, so you might find use for them. I haven't ever really found one. So the first, the week layouts are all like this. So small little layouts, and then a little chunk of info on each, and like these vary. Sometimes they're even recipes and little bits of information about gods and goddesses and things like that. And so this time it's the Bearberry Moon, which is kind of cool, about a herb, the Bearberry Moon. Let's see what else is on here. So the timing for this diary, the astrological information in this diary, is in Eastern Standard Time, EST, and it doesn't give you the calculations at the bottom here, so you'd have to look it up for your time zone, what it actually works out as. In each of the days, it has got where the moon is, what sign the moon is in. It's also got the phase as well, obviously, and it's got colour correspondences in here. Now, I believe they're the colour correspondences for the days, so it shouldn't affect it too much if you were in a different time zone, but you might want to play around with that a little bit. It also in here, which it doesn't have in the other diaries, is they do have the different names for the moons, which obviously varies according to different traditions, so you might find that is not matching up with what your personal tradition calls the moons, but I quite like it, having that extra bit of info in there as well. So Boreas was one of the 4 seasonal wind gods in ancient Greek mythology. So yeah, so there's a little bit about the gods. Sometimes it's just a picture. Lemon squares, like I say, it's got recipes and things in here as well. Most of the recipes are quite, they're not at all suitable if you are gluten-free or vegan or paleo or anything like that. So they're kind of very standard kind of recipes. So if you might not want those, or you might. There's lots of very tasty things in here too. And then, yeah, so on to February, and we've got our month spread again, and then very similar. And when it's the Sabbats, it has more information about that as well. I'll just flick through this for you to see. So it's actually the day before Christmas Eve when I'm filming this. So I've got quite a few things to do, so I'm hoping to get this kind of sorted out and ready to go for you guys to see it. Probably a little bit late to be filming about these now, because I guess most people are a bit more organised than me and may have already bought diaries for 2018. But I think like these, the format of these is very much the same year after year. So if like this won't really go out of date unless obviously they stop making them or if they make significant changes. But in all of these, the only one that has changed quite a lot is the Astrocal Moon Diary. That format has changed quite a bit, but the others have been very much the same format for a long time now, so you know what you're getting. So although these are the 2018 versions of these diaries, the basic format of them still stands. So hopefully it'll be useful in general rather than just at this particular time. And if you guys know of any other different diaries, then let me know as well, because I like to try out different ones. I like finding different kind of metaphysical and moon diaries, because there aren't loads of them. There obviously are many more now than there used to be. When I began practicing, it was very difficult. The wee moon was basically the only one, and then, but now there are a lot more options. Actually, this one probably was as well, but for some reason I don't think I came across this. I didn't start getting this until probably my first one of these was maybe like 10 years ago. So fairly recent. And then we're back all the way to your... It freaks me out sometimes looking at the ends of these when we're obviously like a whole year away from this, and now like what will have happened by this time next year. It's almost like time traveling. Flicking through diaries makes me feel like that. And then the same as in the backs of the others, we've got a little bit about the different contributors who are in here, which is cool, because if you like a particular author's work, then you can follow it up then and find... lots of them are also people who've published with Llewellyn in other books and things as well, so you'll be able to find those. A little bit about the lunar phases, moon sign, gemstones, chakras, herbs. So they're quite handy, just like little reference pages at the back here, which are quite nice. And then we've got the retrogrades, eclipses, full moons, and here we've got the names of the moons. They're kind of like the neo-pagan names for the moons here, rather than the Celtic moon names. Although, yeah, it's like I say, with the moon names, it kind of really varies by whichever tradition you are. Well, not even tradition, what you are drawing from, I guess. And they move void, of course, so some kind of ephemeris information here, and then just notes, and that is that. So that was the Witch's Datebook, and it's really good for people who are definitely following a witchy path with lots of information and things in there. Although I don't want to be at all down on it, because I do really like it. But if you have been practicing for quite a while, then you'll probably find that a fair bit of the things in here will not be new to you. But I find that it is good to have reminders sometimes, and that's what's nice about these date books, in whichever one that you go for, or if there's a different one, like I say, if you could let me know down below, that they do, it's not daunting, because you can just dip in, dip out, read a little bit each day, have a look at correspondences for each day. Obviously you can use them for planning ahead and things as well, which I do that, but it's not maybe so overwhelming as having like a big tome that you need to read through. So I hope that has been fun and useful, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye. Da 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 da.